All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the June 6th, 2023 Cheltenham School District Facilities Committee meeting, and I want to start with a roll call. I will go around the room. Start with Ms. Lomer.
Present.
Ms. Lomer.
Here.
Mr. Epps. Present. Ms. Haywood.
Present.
Mr. Schultz. Present. And online, I see Ms. Henry.
Present.
And Charles, I am present as well. Thank you. You have a quorum. Second agenda item is the approval of minutes. I have a motion to approve the minutes from the May meeting.
So moved. Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Right, thank you. And I will hand it over to Mr. Swider for a presentation.
Thank you, Charles.
Sure.
All right, since I'm going to be doing a lot of talking tonight, I'll keep it as short as possible. All right, so I want to spend tonight talking about what was going on in the district over the summer. There hasn't been a tremendous amount of activity from the last meeting to this meeting as we prepare for the end of the school year and lead up into these summer projects. So there's two schools where most of our projects are going to happen. That's Cheltenham High School and that's Elkins Park Elementary. And this is just this is just what we have on the docket so far. There are other projects we're trying to work in and get done, particularly around Elkins Park as we enter the summer. So the reason I bring this up, I just want everyone to be aware what to expect at the high school over the summer. So this summer we'll have a fire alarm replacement. The kickoff meeting is this week with the winning contractor, the low bid contractor. They've already done some preliminary survey work at the school. What you can expect over the summer is contractor working first shift, second shift, and some Saturdays, weekends, depending on how quickly the project progresses. The completion date for the contract is August 15th, so the project should be complete before school starts. Already in progress and continuing over the summer is the LED conversion at the high school. You noticed in the lobby, we talked about it in a prior meeting that work is going to continue throughout the entire building with as much as we can get done in the summer months. Also at the high school, we have a contractor lined up for the stadium and practice field maintenance issues. We're going to add additional topsoil, aeration, seeding, fertilization to get the field in better shape for when school starts in August and when practice starts in August. And in addition of weed control, pre-emergence to prevent weeds growing up and weeds sticking over the grass in the summer months. You also might see some activity from our architects for the athletic field renovation. We approved that go-ahead resolution back in May. There'll be some testing performed on the site, surveying of the site, testing the water table, testing the track for asphalt thickness, for stone thickness under the asphalt, trying to see the condition of soils so they can prepare for their application to the county for the stormwater management system. All right, moving on to Elkins Park. A lot of work going on in Elkins Park, a lot of maintenance. We're looking at LED conversion in all the hallways and the cafeteria. With that comes a replacement of all the ceiling tiles, so a refreshed look like in this room. Also, some of the hallways have some tile that needs to be replaced, and a brand new tile that's starting to crack and go up. We're also looking at repainting, staining, and making all the student lockers in the hallways look brand new and with a nice spray on fresh curtain paint. So not just a roll-on paint, but a more professional style.
Mrs. Swider, if I could just interject 1 second. One additional piece that we have to address at EP as well is the auditorium. I am requesting, like for instance, their step up ceremony will not be at EP this year. It's just not conducive. It's not safe. So we're going to strategically be looking at modifications. The issue is parts cannot be found to repair the chairs at EP. So we find ourselves robbing from the back of the auditorium in terms of parts and seatings to replace seats that are broken towards the front of the auditorium. So right now, moving forward, any large events, I'm just going to have them held elsewhere. There will probably be monetary implications for bus transportation, with getting kids from one location to the other, but we're just gonna have to eat that. So I wanted to add that that's something that just wasn't reflected, but something that I needed to bring up for the board.
That was one of the projects I had in mind. was-
Okay.
I mean, Serge and I met, we had a conversation with a contractor, a vendor on replacement. We're working on a timeline for ordering it. I know last year at this time, there was a 9-month wait to get seating foam from out of country, so I don't know if that's still the case, so we're coming. All right, and district-wide, obviously, every summer we do our routine maintenance. We have several green roofs throughout the district that need regular maintenance. Also, we do all the stripping and waxing of all the floors, moving all the furniture out of the classroom, stripping and waxing those floors, a deep cleaning of all buildings. And our maintenance staff does all of the filter work, maintenance of the rooftop units, and mechanical rooms as well. Any questions on any of the summer projects? Yes.
I thought it's something actually on here, but when you said the lockers at EP, when we went to Cedar Brook, the lockers at Cedar Brook were in terrible condition. Believe it or not, like terrible.
They're awful.
They're horrible. Yeah. The lockers at EP are probably actually in better shape because they're metal. The lockers at Cedar Brook are plastic. For the most part, there's a little bit of metal in them, and they have just cracked and doors have fallen off. And I wonder if it's even covered by insurance. I don't know. It looks.
Or they don't lock correctly.
They don't lock.
Yeah, that's been brought to my attention. That is something that we will add. That goes back to the inception of when Cedar Brook was actually built.
Yeah.
They're just, the material that was used was not good material.
We didn't see.
For construction.
Yeah.
Duly noted. Any other questions?
Sure.
Just a quick question. I know, and this is not necessarily a summer project, but, we have some lead buildings. And just, you guys to understand how much we're saving, or if we have saved anything in utility bills for the lead certified buildings that we have. So I think it's Windham and Cedar Brook. And those two.
Who was the first one?
Windham.
One cook.
And maybe even Glenside.
I think one side might be actually.
Yeah.
If I know the architect did, Danny, I believe they're probably all research.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, all the new buildings have LEDs that there's like the signal that they were research.
Yeah.
One of them, just that.
Another question? More on this part? Questions on this part? Okay, what? Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Mr.
I
Chair.
didn't hear- You said public questions?
For this
So
section.
far,
of
yeah.
the-
For this,
Oh.
okay. No, I have a question, but it's not on this, I don't think it's on here, so I'll wait till.
I appreciate it.
Well, no, I'm sorry, I got a question. Tara Knox, I live in Wyncoop. In terms of the, football stadium, full practice field and the stadium field, you said it's set to start when?
I have to ask the facilities, assistant facilities director on the start date, and then the company's Jen start used out to schedule to do the work. I don't know the exact start date.
Okay, 'cause I know there's some confusion about practicing over the summer. So the football team practices the entire summer. They don't start, July is when our season starts, but they're out there from June to August the entire time. So they were told that they would not be able to use the practice field it would instead have to transition to the softball field, I'm assuming.
When this work is done, that'll be
Okay, but a couple of other teams also practice over the summer, so I think that everybody's trying to clarify what field they'll be using, especially in terms of football equipment. How can they move it down to that field? So that's some questions that have been moving, where we're not sure how the football team is going to practice. How are they going to get their sleds down to the fields and everything else they need to carry down to that would move the people on the practice field.
So we'll just take notes, we'll come up with a plan.
Okay.
Principal DeAndrews here, we'll work collaboratively with them.
Yes.
EP, the auditorium, there was a play, we had two people, actually, one was a relative of ours in Jersey, sat down, senior than me, the chair broke. So what Dr. Scrivens saying.
I know who you are, but for the.
Oh, Elizabeth Harris, I'm from Cheltenham. I practically, I should be mayor of this town, if my name goes to be mayor. But the bathrooms in EP and the hallways, they have, in the hallways, I saw that they have like old broken chairs from the auditorium, and like, you know, in the back, where we used to take the kids to the gym, in the back, and there's hallways there, and the bathrooms are, there's plumbing problems in those bathrooms.
There's plumbing,
Serious plumbing.
there's serious
You can't use the
plumbing
bathroom, Dr. Scrivens.
problems in EP holistically. I've been very clear.
And people are using the field. I don't know, do they get permission from the board? I was gonna write you. They use the field, like there's a whole team. My sister and I walk every day. And on Sundays, there's several teams that use the Elkins Park field, like soccer. I don't know, do they get permission?
There's supposed to be.
Oh,
So the township
we can
uses the
check
field
it.
as well.
so should I call the township one? I mean, I don't know.
We can sort it out one way or the other.
Okay, because they use it on Saturdays. I think they're, no, these are people, no, these are.
So it's
from-
soccer?
Well, I said that I know when my kids played,
No, it
sometimes
isn't
they
those
had
little
stuff
kids.
scheduled.
No, it's not the little
No.
kids. These are grown adults and they're from prison area there, because that's what they, we asked them where they were from, they said the prison area. They said,
What area?
The prison area. I don't know where that is.
Holmesburg?
We'll look into it.
Holmesburg, yeah, that's it.
We'll look into it.
I forget the area. And they're there on Sundays.
Sundays or Saturdays, because I've heard both days.
I saw them Sundays.
Okay.
Sunday morning.
Okay.
I was walking.
Can I add one thing on top, since you're looking into that, same thing, I don't know about Cedar Brook's track. There's a track team that uses the track almost every afternoon. I'm assuming that the school knows about it, but this is an outside track team, that uses their hurdles, uses our hurdles, not their own hurdles. So if something was to happen, I'm who's responsible for that, but this is daily, I think they train for the Junior Olympics, if I'm not mistaken, I was told.
Okay.
I forget which track club that is, but they're there almost every day
Okay.
after school, over around 4:30.
So we have a board policy around building usage.
Okay,
I mean, other organizations are allowed to use facilities, depending on whether you're a Cheltenham Township group or outside Cheltenham Township. How you're allowed to use facilities or if there's fees charged, so, I mean, these groups very well have permission.
okay.
But I don't have the schedule right.
No, I just didn't think about to bring that up. Thank you.
Okay, to the-
One more thing. Is the high school, the classrooms that don't have air conditioning, are we going to do anything like an EP or no? That's like my big thing. I'm sorry. But it's so hot and it's so hard for the teachers and the students to sit in those classrooms.
So unlike EP, the high school does not have the electrical capacity
Okay.
to put units on the windows, so something more substantial would have to be done. to
And
provide
thank
air
you for the
conditioning.
job you do. I appreciate it. Really do. I know it's hard.
So I don't have an answer for you for that yet. We're in the middle of a feasibility study. We're trying to answer all these questions with the resources we have.
I know. Thank you again.
Any other summer schedule questions?
I don't think so.
All right, so I wanted to, since on this month's board agenda is the approval of contract with the architect for the Cheltenham Stadium, I wanted to provide more information on what the stadium project is. So here, talking about timeline, it's a very aggressive timeline. very preliminary. So we're hoping with an aggressive best case scenario timeline, we can get the design, the application surveys all done. This year submitted and approved through the spring of 2024. With those approved, then we could potentially bid the project in the spring of 2024 with construction occurring early summer, throughout the summer, and hopefully completion in late summer, early fall of 2024. So that's the aggressive timeline for this project. When looking at the necessity for this project, I thought it'd be helpful to look at all the rest of southern Montgomery County. So we took a look at all the districts near us, a lot of districts that we play on a regular basis. I look at the capacity of all of those districts and I look at whether they have turf or grass. So there are only 3 districts with a grass field: Abington, Cheltenham, and Lower Moreland. I believe Lower Moreland's in the process of renovating their stadium. And the difference in grass between Cheltenham and Abington obviously is not quite the same. When looking at the capacity, you can see that other than Lower Moreland, Cheltenham's stadium capacity is significantly undersized for the size district it is. So one of the reasons why this was identified as a priority early on last fall, to me, was for those reasons. So knowing that a complete renovation high school project is not in the cards, in the next several years, this project is a way to give something to the high school, to give a source of pride to the school district, something that kids can look out the window and say, I'm proud of this facility. This facility is in line with all of our neighbors, and it allows our athletes to compete on a surface that is comparable and allows them the greatest chance of success. If they want to take that to the next level in college. It's also hopefully a facility where we can be proud of when we have graduation, we have gym class. So these are all the reasons. These are the data reasons why I thought looking at a turf field, increasing the capacity was a necessity. So we're still working on a scope. The general scope for this project would consist of a grandstand, not a lounge, just a grandstand. We're just trying to get a basic stadium without bells and whistles. This screenshot is actually from a feasibility study that was done by KCBA, a very limited feasibility study back in 2015-16. So it includes some other things that we're looking at that are not part of this project. This project is just to focus on a grandstand, a set of bleachers that's larger, that's appropriate for the district, track resurfacing, a new turf track, a new fence. These structures are not necessarily part of this project. Definitely not a field house. More than likely not a ticket booth or a concession stand, but we're still working on that scope and what we can afford. And the stormwater management that comes with this site. So according to the EPA and the Montgomery County Conservation District, if you disturb more than an acre of land, you're required to submit a permit and a plan for how you're going to deal with all the stormwater that will collect on this site that you're now disturbing with turning it from grass to non-pervious surface. So that's really the biggest time constraint in this project, is trying to get an application through that process, get the appropriate soil testing done, filtration testing, and water testing in the site. So that's the general scope of this project. We just discussed that. A question was asked prior, why invest money in the stadium? We're going to be renovating high school in the future. So when KCBA did this feasibility study back in 2015-16, they kind of used a civil engineer to fit out how they would fit a school and existing athletic facilities on the same site. And you can see the current school exists in this space with the softball fields and the field hockey fields in the front. They could shift this space around, move this close to Rice's Mill Road, and still maintain pretty much all the same athletic facilities. So investing in the stadium now is something that will carry well past the high school renovation. So it's not a lost cost. It is an invested cost. Oh, any questions on the high school stadium project? Yes, Charles.
Just one. In terms of how this project fits into the overall feasibility study, what's the kind of cross pollination between the two?
So the big costs, the big ticket items, the big ticket questions are Elkins Park, number one. Air conditioning at the high school. And what to do with the admin building is kind of the last item. And the EP project, which still hasn't been figured out, is, is there a way we want to configure the school better, or the educational model better? Do we want to shoot grades? There's everything's on the table. There's nothing set in stone. So we're doing a lot of looking at the buildings, looking at how class flow, class size, the educational model, still trying to come up with that model. This project is kind of always on the table. To me, the stadium and EP are kind of the two top projects. The stadium is not a large dollar project, it's kind of a smaller dollar project, so there's no reason to delay it. We have a fund balance, we have available funds to take care of it, so why sit on it? Why not just move forward? So to me, that's the reason for the time. Because my office sat vacant for 18 months. No progress. No progress was made on the facility side in terms of long-term planning for 18 months. So we're kind of behind the game. Really, when we do this, we really want to have projects lined up and ready to go, so we can take advantage of favorable interest rates, better bidding environments. Right now, it's neither of that. It's not a good bidding environment. It's not a good interest rate environment. But we're not looking at doing this project now. We're looking at doing it a year from now. So that's the reason to keep the process.
Thank you.
So the base estimate, the base budget for this is $7 million. And the architectural contract is for a fee of 5.75, which I'm still negotiating with them about the calculation of that fee. So that's roughly $7.4 million so far. And that's a very rough estimate. You don't really know until you open up that bid what the cost is going to be. That's the next steps.
So, sorry, second round. So procedurally, what are we voting on next? Because I see the bid process is going to open up.
So we did an RFP to get a competitive pricing and to get and to kind of gauge the professional services of the architect. But we have not committed any money to this project. So contract next week was with the architect for their fee to do the work. So in order to authorize capital expenditure of $400,000, we require board approval.
Got it. And then for the construction, that's what is the bid process would be. So okay, cool.
They
So
draw up the
separate.
plans, we do the bid, and the bid obviously requires additional.
Cool. Thanks. More questions? I didn't see it. Yeah, I didn't see it in the packet yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, it will be. I didn't have a final version, like I said, I'm still negotiating.
Any questions on the topic before we move on?
I can barely, I'm sorry.
Any questions on it? I was just ready to say.
Yes. Tara Knox, Winco. I know you said you're still working on everything, but do we have a projected seating capacity with this project that was presented for the main stadium?
So as part of the scope, one of the decisions has to be made. Do we want the stadium to be primarily for sports? Do we want it to be for graduation? That all is a question that goes into seating capacity. So I don't think that answer lies solely with me.
No, I was curious if you knew, like, if they gave you like a number, like that could possibly fit X amount of people, or if we're there, we're not there yet.
So I just need to get the architectural contract
I got you, okay.
across the board so that, and get that approved so that we can start having these conversations with all the stakeholders in this project. I mean, the athletic director, the principal, the coaches, the students all have to be involved in this.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on the stadium?
See any?
All right, just want to provide an update on FMX. We had a slight setback. Tim was mostly pushing this project forward. His absence, we're a little bit behind the 8 ball, but we did meet with them last week. We're still moving forward with migration of all of our information from School Dude in FMX, and we're about a month behind schedule. We're still going to continue with the training of staff this summer and moving forward with FMX. And the one really nice thing about FMX will be facility scheduling and Schedule Star integration. Which Schedule Star is the main software for scheduling athletic events through the athletic director's office. So there'll be integration between the two offices. All right, I think Dawn and Sergio put this in here because I just wanted to thank all of the grants and custodial staff for setting up for graduation this week and congratulating all of the students as they graduate on Thursday. So congratulations to the class of 2023. And that's the last slide.
All right, thank you. Any additional or questions about anything else presented tonight? Going to the community, same question. Any additional questions?
That's not a question. It's more of just a comment. Tara Knox, coach. I'm just more excited about the new stadium coming in. My son plays football, also runs track. So I've had the privilege of going to just about every school in the district between football, especially track, they travel to a lot of different schools, and just seeing the facilities that I visited versus ours, it's just kind of sad to come back here. We're like, this is what we have to come back home to, especially for the invitational track meets. If you've ever been to invitational track meets, there's about 30 schools that come to these events. And the schools that can host this and their concession stands, they do very well hosting all these schools and all these kids at their meets. We cannot host that at Cheltenham, which is a shame because we have a very great track program. Dr. Bill is an excellent coach. And it's a shame that with that, as a prestigious program, we cannot host invitations at our school. So I'm hoping that with going forward, we can host them at the school and can bring other schools here and can bring that revenue in because those meets go for 8 to 9 hours a day. That's a very long day with hundreds of kids constantly here using buying food from concession stand. So it's just a great thing to see, especially if the track team it's a different type of vibe. They all kind of vibe and get along and support each other. It's not as competitive as football and gritty. They all talk and laugh and just see them making TikToks and dancing. So it's just something that as a parent, it makes you very proud to see. So I'm just hoping we can have that here. Because we get to experience it other places, just not here. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Yes.
I have a look, Elizabeth Harris, Cheltenham. During the summer, some of like EP and even CES, the grass doesn't get cut enough and people complain. Especially like around the track at EP, it's out of control.
Text me. You good?
Yeah.
Just keep me
I would
posted.
think.
If you shoot me a text and it's like that, I can get a crew up.
Okay, thank you. Just because the parents complain more.
Nope, gotcha.
Right?
Thank you,
Thank you, Eric. For any other questions or comments? I don't see any raised hands online. Hey, I will ask for a motion. Is there a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
So moved. Second.
All right, all those in favor?